about to welcome on a speaker that we were able to speak to yesterday, a phenomenal speaker who's invested an awful lot of his time and effort in Bitcoin. David first invested in Bitcoin in 2012, founding the first crypto angel group in 2013, polymath advisor, board member of the Silicon Valley Blockchain Society, and with his talk, The Future of Crypto, what's in store for the next 5 years? Ladies and gentlemen, would you welcome back on stage, David Johnson. Oh.
Thank you, guys. Well, I don't know about you, but I traveled here all the way from Texas, so the jet lag is starting to hit. So why don't we all stand up out of our seats, get a little stretch, get the blood moving, get a little energy going, maybe one of these, maybe a jumping jack, something like that. Wake up. All right, perfect, perfect. Thank you for indulging me. So I'm going to keep it very simple and just talk about two things today. First, the last 5 years. So the story of the last 5 years was about projects like this. With Bitcoin, we saw the first protocol for transferring value. And it was a generalized protocol, right? Anybody could transfer value to anyone in the world. This was really revolutionary. When I started first getting involved in Bitcoin in 2012, this was the vision, is we're going to bring digital cash to the entire world. And then Vitalik and the folks at Ethereum had the insight really to bring this to the next level. We need to be able to run programs on the blockchain. And so with the launch of Ethereum, we got another generalized protocol where you could run any program you could imagine on the blockchain in a way that was transparent, immutable, and something that was global by nature. So that's been the last 5 years, and if you've been involved, these two protocols have really revolutionized what you can build in this industry. So let's talk about the next 5 years, because I think we're going through an important transition right now from what were generalized protocols to specialized platforms. So you probably recognize a lot of the names on this slide. So Factom is a protocol for validating data and records and audits on the blockchain. Many of you know Polymath is doing security tokens, and it's a platform totally dedicated to that use case. You may know Open Garden, which are doing distributed bandwidth. Think of a distributed internet service provider to displace the old Verizons and AT&Ts of the world. So we're seeing this whole birth of new specialized platforms that are building on blockchain and basically opening vertical by vertical these new use cases. So I think this is an important transition from where we've been with generalized protocols to opening up each new use case where we take the legacy economy and we pull it into the blockchain economy. And so that's, I think, an important transformation because it really brings us the ability to pull in existing experts from these industries and welcome this into this industry and give them the tools to basically improve what they've been doing before with blockchain technology. So part of why I'm so passionate right now about security tokens and those verticals of stocks and bonds and real estate and early stage startups moving into blockchain is because I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. I've been building companies since I was a kid. But if any of you have built a company before, you may have had the experience that ownership in a private company isn't the same thing as having money or having liquidity, right? I would build a company and it would get bought by another private company, and now I've got a small number of shares in a bigger private company, which maybe later gets acquired by a different private company, and there's no dividend, there's no exit, right? And so it wasn't until in my career that I got involved in blockchain for the first time I had liquidity. So I could, put my value into these open projects, and there was a global market for that value afterwards. And so what I believe we're fundamentally doing is opening up secondary market liquidity for all the legacy industries that want to take advantage of what Bitcoin has today, what Ethereum has today. I mean, we take for granted in our industry that crypto is traded on exchanges all over the world. But think about that for a moment. That's very different than traditional stocks, right? The stock is traded on the NASDAQ. The stock is traded only on the New York Stock Exchange. Why? Because those stocks are a prisoner to the record-keeping system of the exchange that they're on. They can only be on that exchange. And so what we're doing with crypto and with blockchain is we've created a universal system of record. So if you wanted to send Ethereum from an exchange that's in Europe or an exchange somewhere else in the world, it's seamless, it's easy to make that transition. So we can really open up the world for, you know, all those entrepreneurs that are building in these industries to be able to realize the value that they're creating. The second thing that gets me really excited is how permissionless this industry is. I didn't ask anybody if I could join blockchain, or if I could purchase Bitcoin, or I could get involved. And we're starting to see amazing new ways where people can participate seamlessly, not just by buying, but also earning crypto. We talked a little bit, if you guys were here yesterday, about the idea of airdrops, right? This is a way where people are earning crypto for participating in these new communities. And so I'd encourage you to check out this new mechanism. And we have with us today Jory, one of the pioneers in this space, and they've done a great job with a new initiative called Smart Drops. If you go to smartdrops.network, there's a whole new wave of ideas of how to give out crypto to people that are participating in a community. So it's not just the people with money, but also the people that can participate and join these communities that should have a stake in these open protocols. So I think that's really transformative, because before, capital has been something accessible by institutions, and what's happening is we're going to get to the point where these projects are accessible by everyone. And so I think that's an important transformation. So I'll just stop there, keep it short today, but I've got a couple more minutes if we want to take some questions. I think we may have a mic that we have in the audience, but we'll go ahead and take a few questions. I've got 2-3 minutes.
Hello, David. This is Gregor from Exate. Very interesting presentation. I have a question for you. How do you think that the value or the perception of information will change in this field? And, you know, I am thinking about information as energy. So something in the past, for example, we thought of, let's say, crude oil or, you know, fuel, regular fuel as energy.
Sure.
And now we are moving to something else where bits and bytes are becoming actually energy that we can spend and create something new from this.
Sure. And most people forget that today the way data is monetized is by the big companies. Your data becomes the advertising revenue of Google, right? And people don't have a sense for how big this has become, but the advertising budget for each one of you, depending on your age and your demographic, is $10,000 or $15,000 a year. That's how much people are spending to show you ads, to get products in front of you on Facebook and Google. This has become one of the largest asset classes in the world, is data. And I think the opportunity and the change is this idea of self-sovereign identity, and I own my own information, right? So if I own my identity and I own my information, and we can remove some of the middlemen that are involved today in people that want you to see what they're doing, and maybe you're open to seeing what they're doing, but you should be getting some of that value, not just these mega large corporations. So I think that's going to be the fundamental shift as we go from data owned by companies to data owned by individuals. And I think that's an important shift. And this is a way of monetizing that. This is what's so special about crypto, is we monetized open source. We monetized communities where people can participate. Great question. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Okay, quick.
I got 40 seconds, so he's good.
First.
Yeah.
So one question really quick. You know, I come from Colombia, South America.
Sure.
In Colombia and all Latin America, we have these bankers and monopolies ripping people off. I mean, people are getting ripped off. Not 1,000, not 2,000, millions of people are getting ripped off. So when are we going to start talking about actual disruption, actual revolution? Which
You're
is
talking about
what we're doing
inflation
now.
and things like that?
Exactly.
That's coming very quickly. I think within the next few years, we're going to reach 1 billion users. And people, anybody that has a phone, I talked about coin text yesterday, the idea of sending crypto to anybody's phone number. As soon as that's a reality for most people in the world, by the end of this year, people have an alternative. They can make a choice. And they're going to opt out of bad currencies. They're going to opt out of these bad systems. So come talk to me more about it, but that's part of why I'm so passionate about this. Thank you all.